Natalie Kunsman, MD, and I was wondering if you have ever had fatigue, sluggishness, diminished energy capacity or diminished stamina with exercise, brain fog, any throat discomfort, the sensation that the bowels are sluggish or potential constipation. Are you getting menstrual irregularities or have you stopped getting your period altogether? Do you feel cold or heat intolerance? And a big one is, do you have unwanted weight gain that you just don't know where it came from and you just can't shake it? There are some people that have just the opposite with weight loss and jitteriness and a sensation that they can't quiet or calm down. If you have any of these symptoms, plus a whole lot of other potentially unexplainable ones, I dare say you probably should get your thyroid checked. Now, what is the thyroid? Well, it is a gland that lives right here beneath the Adam's apple, and it is bow tie shaped with a little isthmus in the center. And this gland is responsible for secreting thyroid hormone. And if you think about all of the hormones in our bodies, this thyroid gland happens to be the master conductor of the whole symphony of hormones. So it is very important to make sure it is under control and that yours is optimized. The thyroid gland will receive signals from the hypothalamus and the pituitary, and it will talk to the thyroid in relationship and in response to different heat triggers, different gut triggers, different environmental triggers, and different triggers from those other endocrine hormones that are circulating. And it will tell that thyroid gland whether to secrete more of that thyroid hormone or less of that thyroid hormone as it is trying to, again, orchestrate all the other hormones in our bodies. So what are those things that can render this thyroid dysfunctional? So I would say be careful of radiation, and this might be with dental procedures or basic x-rays, because that thyroid is very fragile against different waveforms. The thyroid needs iodine, so we need to have enough iodine in our bodies for it to optimize and make thyroid hormone, because the thyroid hormones that are secreted are T4, which has 4 iodine molecules, or T3, which has 3 iodine molecules. So low iodine means you do not have enough of those basic building blocks to create the thyroid hormone. Selenium is also needed, so sometimes a poor selenium diet can render this thyroid inactive. Vitamin D is crucial for optimal management of the thyroid. Sometimes we believe that there are some viral triggers that will go after that thyroid, which may render that gland less functional. Hepatitis C and the herpes virus family are the 2 major ones that have had some research. Don't forget, if you have had some anti-cancer medications or MS medications, that may be rendering that thyroid gland non-functional or low optimal. Don't forget that we are living in a world that we have a lot of oil refineries and petrochemical complexes, and the thyroid gland is very susceptible to this, and it may render it inactive as well. We have herbicides, pesticides, specifically a paraquat. We have PCBs, we have bisphenol A and BPAs in plastics. And then we have a whole host of other potential triggers, such as some medications that can render that thyroid gland inactive. Lithium is one, because it will compete with the iodine and kick it out. And there are a few cardiac medications that will do the same thing. And don't forget, we may have a shear energy depletion or EMF exposures that has rendered that very sensitive, very fragile gland incapable or dysfunctional. So from the medical viewpoint, when that thyroid is non-functional, we need to do a full analysis of the blood work, which will help us figure out why that thyroid is rendered inactive. So I like to perform a full thyroid profile. This includes a TSH, a T3, a T4. Those are the three main ones. I like to check for antibodies to see if we, in this ever-evolving autoimmunity world from our corrupted environment, if the body is secreting some antibodies that are attacking that thyroid gland. And if it is attacking the thyroid gland, it may speed the gland up, such as Graves' disease, or it may slow it down, such as Hashimoto's thyroiditis. We may also want to check something called a reverse T3, which is the left-handed version of the normal T3. And if that is getting manufactured, it is clogging up the gears, let's say, in the thyroid gland, rendering it inactive. Of course, I will go after vitamin D levels, and we may need to be going after some of those nutritional depletions that also may be contributing. So after we have a full assessment, some of that assessment is needed to figure out whether or not synthetic bioidentical thyroid hormone is best to optimize yours, or if you can use a glandular extract that will have a pork or a bovine protein in there. And those that are making antibodies will not do well with the natural products that have rendered glandular extracts, because the autoimmunity phenomenon may go against, or may also create more of an autoimmunity against, the animal proteins. So obviously there are ways that you can optimize your thyroid gland based upon those things that can trigger it. So be very protective of the energetic fields and the EMF. A high cruciferous diet, which is broccoli, may actually kick out some of that iodine, so be careful. We want to make sure we have an optimal amount of iodine, which may be about 150 micrograms on a daily basis. Please avoid some of those chemical environmental toxins. If you have succumbed to a hepatitis C or herpes virus, make sure you have it under control. And a key ingredient is to make sure you have an optimum vitamin D intake to render the gland as functional as possible. Again, I am Natalie Kunsman, MD. This was the brief overview of thyroid dysregulation. And if you have any questions, please leave them below. Until we meet again, be well.